all three of you have spent time running hotels in the ground level. And that's something so special that hospitality has, where a lot of people who have built these tremendous companies have also been in a lot of these roles that, make everything happen at the line level. And so there's tons of empathy built. And can you talk a little bit about the impact that being at the line level has helped over your career to build empathy and leadership and culture for your companies?
I think it's so important, right? I think because you learn a lot of times by doing so knowing what that desk clerk has to deal with every day, right? And the challenges change a little bit over time, but you're still dealing with people and you're still dealing with renting rooms and providing guest service. But being in those positions, whether it was a dishwasher, whether it was a server or cleaning rooms, working at smaller hotels where you did everything, you've had to do it. And I think that's what makes us better leaders now, because you develop that empathy. When you're asking somebody to do something, you know that you've had to do it before, so you understand what goes into it. And how you accomplish that task doesn't change a lot at the line level. Now, there are different products now, there's new technology to do things differently, but still being in that position, you learn so much from that. And you really could apply what you did then to where you are now in operating hotels.
Yeah, it's a really tremendous part of hospitality where people can rise the ranks. They can see people like yourself who are an inspiration to the industry of you got into hospitality in college after transitioning from accounting and finance, and then built your way up to, you've managed billions in assets. You have hundreds of locations across the country, every type of hotel imaginable. And you've brought others in the industry that have also risen their ranks over time and can empathize with the teams. And so, if you were talking to some young hotelier that was looking at the industry or a college student at Penn State, what kind of advice would you give them?
It's learning as much as you can, as you're rising through the ranks, because I think a lot of times leaders get to a certain level and the learning stops, and you've gone a certain path, whether it's revenue strategy or sales or operations, and you didn't get that diversification when you were younger. And then you hit that age and you think you don't want to move to another department because you feel like you're going to start over. But really working in every department, whether you're in high school or college or just starting your career, is so important. So my advice would be to learn as much as you can now to become that, that wide range, have that wide range knowledge to be able to move through the industry, to move to higher level positions.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, in the parking industry, it's very similar. A lot of the parking leaders started as valets, and I credit a lot of our team's success to our time all in the trenches as valets, parking attendants, and being able to understand what really drives the industry. And it's just going great. The hospitality is the same mindset. And you've worked with so many major brands and owners and operators. What are some similar trends you've seen in the ones that are most successful growing their businesses?
The brands have their focus, and hotel owners have their focus, and you always merge to a certain point so that everybody benefits from each other. But there's always a different trend and a different way to do things. But the one thing that never changes is having a positive culture throughout your hotel. And you mentioned empathy because you've done the jobs before and understanding that as well. But that's truly the foundation to make a hotel successful. It's the culture within the organization, and it's the tone at the top. If the leader has the right mindset and the right culture, everybody's going to benefit from that. And if there are team members that don't follow that same culture, they're going to leave, and you're going to replace them with better team members. But it's really how you treat your team members day to day. It's wanting them to want to come to work. We talk about AI, how AI is making our jobs easier, but also we're never going to fully replace people, right? There are going to be people that need to develop AI, but when you talk hospitality, you're talking about making guests feel welcome, and that culture piece is so important. And if you're not treating your team members the right way, then it's going to be hard for them to turn around and be happy and treat your guests the right way. And there's just so much value in that. And then as we struggle, with a labor crunch to be able to fill positions, you want people to want to work for you. You want people to want to come to work. And, sometimes you really don't know what their home life is like. So when they show up for work, it could really be the best 8 hours of their day. So you want to make sure that they feel welcome and they want to be there. You don't want them calling off because they hate coming to work. It creates things that are going to be more difficult for you, but you want them to be there because you want them to get the job done. You want them to get along with their coworkers, and you want them to make your guests feel welcome. So when you create that culture and that tone, the hotel just starts humming, and the guests feel it, and the guests come back, and then you get generate more revenue, and you generate more profit and return on investment for your owners.
You've worked with so many different owners, management companies. You've worked across the entire breadth of hospitality. If you were advising a hotel ownership group or an individual owner on how to choose the right management company, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, it's a really good question. We have worked with so many different types of owners, as you mentioned, but choosing a management company, there are so many qualified management companies out there where they have the knowledge, they have the team members, they have the skill, but where it really becomes important is, can you relate to that management company? So as an owner, is it someone that you like to work with? Is it someone you would like to do business with, but do you trust them? And I think trust is the most important thing. I think what happens a lot of times is the person that makes the sale to the owner to choose my company to manage isn't necessarily the person that's going to make sure it happens. So I think the most important thing is that you're dealing with a management company that's going to give you their time and attention. Even if it's not the person at the top, the person assigned to that hotel, are they taking your phone calls? Are they communicating with you even when you're not reaching out to communicate with them? It's really important that they're letting you know what they're seeing and what needs to be fixed and how they're going to fix it before it becomes a bigger issue.